What were the major turning points in World War II, and why were they so crucial? Throughout the annals of history, few events have left such a profound global impact as World War II. This cataclysmic conflict, involving nearly every nation on Earth, resulted in the deaths of over 60 million people. But within this maelstrom of destruction, key moments emerged that would shape the course of this war, and in turn, the future of our world. Understanding these turning points is not merely an exercise in historical curiosity. It offers us insights into how the world we live in today was molded by the crucible of war. From the frozen wastes of Stalingrad to the azure waters of Midway and the blood-soaked beaches of Normandy, these decisive battles shifted the tides of World War II. Join us as we unravel the key turning points that shaped the course of the deadliest conflict in human history. The Battle of Stalingrad, a brutal standoff that marked a significant shift in the war's direction. The year was 1942, the world was in the throes of the Second World War. The Eastern Front was a theater of unparalleled brutality, and the city of Stalingrad was its epicenter. Stalingrad, a city bearing the name of Soviet leader Joseph Stalin himself, held immense symbolic and strategic significance. Its capture was a key objective of Adolf Hitler's plan to secure the oil fields of the Caucasus and eliminate the Soviet Union as a threat. But the city would not fall easily. The battle began in August 1942, with the German Sixth Army launching a ferocious attack. The city was reduced to rubble, but the Soviet defenders, despite being outnumbered and outgunned, held on. They fought for every inch of the city, from the bombed-out factories to the skeletal remains of residential buildings. As the harsh Russian winter set in, the situation began to change. The Soviet Union launched Operation Uranus, a daring counteroffensive aimed at encircling and trapping the German forces in Stalingrad. The Germans, ill-prepared for the savage cold and the ferocity of the Soviet resistance, found themselves surrounded, their supply lines cut off. By February 1943, after more than 5 grueling months of battle, the remaining German forces, starved and frostbitten, finally surrendered. The Battle of Stalingrad was over. The German Sixth Army, once considered invincible, was decimated. The loss at Stalingrad was a catastrophic blow to the German war effort. It marked the first major defeat of Hitler's armies, and a turning point on the Eastern Front. The myth of German invincibility was shattered, and the Red Army, buoyed by their victory, began to push westward, regaining territory lost in the early years of the war. But the Battle of Stalingrad was more than just a strategic turning point. It was a testament to human endurance and the power of resilience. The defenders of Stalingrad, against all odds, stood their ground in the face of seemingly insurmountable adversity. Their courage and determination changed the course of the war. In the annals of history, Stalingrad stands as a symbol of resistance and a reminder of the horrors of war. It was a battle where not just soldiers, but also the very city itself, fought against the onslaught of a ruthless enemy. The Battle of Stalingrad, a testament to the resilience and determination that changed the course of the war. It is a story of courage and sacrifice, of a city and its people who refused to surrender, and in doing so, changed the tide of World War II. The Battle of Midway, a clash of titans in the vast Pacific. Imagine a vast expanse of ocean, speckled with tiny islands, and the largest naval fleets of the time, the United States and Imperial Japan, poised for a showdown that would forever alter the course of the Second World War. In the early part of the war, Japan had enjoyed a string of victories, advancing its sphere of influence across the Pacific. But June 1942 marked the beginning of a change in fortunes. The Battle of Midway, named for the tiny atoll in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, was a strategically important duel that would set the stage for the rest of the war in the Pacific. The United States, still reeling from the attack on Pearl Harbor 6 months earlier, was determined to halt Japan's progress. In an ambitious plan led by Admiral Chester Nimitz, the US decided to confront the Japanese head-on, right at Midway. The stakes were high, but the Americans had an ace up their sleeve. They had cracked the Japanese naval code and knew the enemy's plans. As the Japanese fleet advanced towards Midway, they were unaware that they were sailing into a trap. The Americans, with their carriers strategically positioned, launched a surprise attack. The Japanese, caught off guard, scrambled to respond, but it was too late. Within minutes, 3 of Japan's largest aircraft carriers were ablaze, their flight decks littered with wrecked planes. The Japanese attempted a counterattack, but the Americans were ready. They successfully defended their carriers, and by the end of the day, a fourth Japanese carrier was sinking beneath the waves. The Battle of Midway was over, and it was a decisive victory for the United States. But what did this mean for the Pacific War? Quite simply, the Battle of Midway marked the turning point in the conflict. Japan's loss of 4 carriers was a blow from which they would never fully recover. The balance of power in the Pacific had shifted. For the first time since the start of the war, the United States was on the offensive. The Battle of Midway was not just a military victory, it was a psychological one. It boosted the morale of the American forces and gave them the confidence they needed to continue the fight. It also sent a clear message to Japan and the world. The United States was not a country that could be easily defeated. In the grand tapestry of World War II, the Battle of Midway is a vibrant thread. It's a tale of strategic brilliance, audacious courage, and a bit of luck. It's a story that underscores the unpredictability of war and how a single event can tip the scales and alter the course of history. The Battle of Midway, a pivotal moment that tipped the scales in favor of the Allies. This battle stands as a testament to the resilience and determination of those who fought, and to the enduring power of strategic foresight and bravery in the face of overwhelming odds. The D-Day invasion, a daring assault that marked the beginning of the end for the Axis powers. On June 6, 1944, over 150,000 Allied troops stormed the beaches of Normandy, France, in one of the largest amphibious military assaults in history. This operation, famously known as D-Day, was a key turning point in World War II, setting the stage for the eventual downfall of Nazi Germany. So, why was D-Day so crucial? Well, by the spring of 1944, the Allies had managed to gain a foothold in Italy, but the main body of German forces still lay across the Channel, in the heavily fortified Atlantic Wall, along the coast of France. The Allies needed a direct route into Nazi-occupied Europe, and Normandy was the key. Now the planning for D-Day, or Operation Overlord as it was officially known, was an immense undertaking. It involved deception tactics to mislead the Germans, intensive training, the gathering of equipment, and intricate coordination among Allied forces. The goal? To breach Hitler's Atlantic Wall and establish a Western Front, a feat that was no small task. When dawn broke on June 6, the Allies, led by General Dwight D. Eisenhower, launched their assault. Paratroopers dropped behind enemy lines, disrupting communication and supply routes. Meanwhile, thousands of ships crossed the English Channel carrying troops that would storm 5 beaches codenamed Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword. Despite the well-laid plans, the invasion was far from smooth. At Omaha Beach, the situation was particularly grim. The German defenses were unexpectedly strong, and the rough sea conditions scattered landing crafts, leading to high casualties. Yet the courage and resilience of the Allied forces prevailed. By nightfall, they had secured all 5 beaches. In the days and weeks that followed, the Allies managed to establish a firm foothold in France. They pushed the German forces back, paving the way for the liberation of Paris in August, and the eventual defeat of Hitler's forces the following year. The D-Day invasion was a turning point in the war in Europe because it marked the start of the Allies' push from the west, simultaneously with the Soviet Union's push from the east. This two-front attack stretched the German forces thin, leading to their eventual surrender in May 1945. D-Day remains a symbol of Allied unity, courage, and strategic brilliance. It was a gamble, yes, but a calculated one that paid off and dramatically altered the course of World War II. It was the beginning of the end for the Axis powers and marked the dawn of a new era in Europe. D-Day, a bold gamble that paved the way for the liberation of Europe. These major turning points in World War II were not just battles, but decisive moments that shaped the world we know today. The Battle of Stalingrad marked a significant shift in the Eastern Front, while the Battle of Midway turned the tide in the Pacific. The D-Day invasion, on the other hand, set in motion the final stages of the war in Europe. Each of these pivotal moments not only influenced the outcome of the war, but they also left an indelible mark on the world. They set the stage for the emergence of new powers, the redrawing of global boundaries, and the onset of the Cold War. They brought about technological advancements that continue to impact our lives today, from nuclear energy to space exploration. These battles were more than just military engagements, they were transformative events that have helped to shape the world we live in. And so we understand the magnitude of these turning points and their profound impact on the course of history.